Meg-2 Sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tin it, pin it, wire it, fire it, lock it, blast it, swing it, bash it. Meg-2 Sabers.
Light him if you got him. Hello, everybody. Great to see everybody. And welcome to Tuesday, the last edition. So really quick, I'm going to get this out of the way quick while we do have some viewers on here. Hey, Cole, great to see you. Kyberphonic. I saw Max in here. Of course, I was chatting with Max before the show began, Mundo and Cinzy. You know, thanks everybody for signing on. I got a bunch of stuff to show tonight, so I'm glad you guys are here. This is going to be like almost a cosplay special. Meg-2 is going to be Meg-2 cosplay, not Sabers at all. A lot of costuming stuff to show you guys tonight that I'm pretty proud of. But before we begin, beginning next Monday, which is going to be October 24th, I'm going back to Mondays. So Meg-2 Monday Live started in November of 2019. And, you know, that's where we met. That's where we did a lot of installs together, did a lot of cool stuff together. And I tried to shift it to Tuesdays, partially because Mundo's show was on Mondays, but partially because I already had bagpipe band practice on Tuesdays. So I was like, might as well just ruin the rest of that night, you know, for me and Jen and put the show on Tuesdays. But the problem was sometimes bagpipes was running long, or, you know, for whatever reason, I was getting called at work on Tuesdays a lot. Tuesdays just wasn't working out, so I wasn't able to do this show consistently. So we're moving to Monday. So the good news is for your Saber fans, you'll have Meg-2 Monday Live, and then you'll have Mundo Monday Madness shortly to follow. So I'm not trying to step on your toes there, Mundo. It's just I'm just trying to reclaim a space that worked better for me. And usually I'd be off the air before you begin anyway. And you know, I catch most of Mundo's shows on replay because they're up pretty late. But at any rate, lots of stuff to show you guys. First off, I need to get some of the stuff off my bench so I can make some room. Meg-2 Mundo Mania. Meg, yeah. I know. I you know, we all need to get together, you know, or just whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I got to have more people on the show, but y'all know Benji, Graham, and, you know, Jeremy from Solo Sabers and, you know, Mountain Sabers, the whole lot of them got me into 3D printing, and it's made a mess. So I have something to show you guys that I'm really proud of. Look at that. There's my short trooper. And, you know, the visor for it's coming in, you know, maybe this week or something like that. And then, you know, that helmet will be done. And then I got to do the inside of it, but that is bad. You know, this is one of my favorite characters from Rogue One was the old shore trooper, and that's awesome. But I 3D printed this right here in my own house. So, you know, that's awesome. Next, and I know Jesse Kirkbride should recognize this. So, you know, I don't know if I told you guys, but when I did my Kylo Ren, I sewed it myself. So here's one piece. We'll see if anybody knows what this is. That's actually the back. This is the front. And anybody know what that is besides Jesse? Oh yeah, I do all my own sewing. So this is the actual flak vest, and I haven't put the Velcro on it for the Mando. So I sewed this flak vest, and then it gets even better. I sewed the whole bodysuit. So here's the bodysuit, y'all, just so you can see how serious I am about this. I still got to take some of the pockets off and stuff, but you can see the double sleeves, and you can see the top stitching details on the double sleeves, and then you can see the cross hatch stitch on the back at the elbow. And then, you know, the same was on the other sleeve. And then on the legs, the details on the legs, you know, you have these patches inside the thighs, and then you have these two little patches on the knees, and those are you know, all part of Mando's suit. So this is Mando's suit. And of course, you know, I have the top stitching front and back, going down the leg. So that is Mando's suit, and that's where I'm at on sewing. So I've been sewing a lot, which that's crazy. And yeah, his flak vest, he wore that. That's awesome. But yeah. So I'm building a Dinjarin. So let me show y'all something. When when I'm 3D printing these things, they start like this. So this is Dinjarin's right leg armor. I actually had it upside down there. This is Dinjarin's right leg armor. Now I'm building Book of Boba Fett Dinjarin, the Mandalorian. So I'm just letting y'all know. And then this would be the left leg armor. It's asymmetrical, which is pretty cool. But this is what the prints look like. I'll try to hold them up to the camera so you can see. There's some lines that are there in the prints. Now some of this crap is supposed to be there, and I'm still in the process of cleaning it up. But some of those lines are supposed to be there. This is the left armor, and you can see that's a pretty clean print. My printer is pretty good. But what I do is I sand these down, and then I add body filler to them, and then I primer them, and then I sand them again. And in the end, what you get, oh yeah, my printer is pretty slick. In the end, what you get is something like this. So this is sorry, I had that upside down again. This is the Mandalorian's left knee armor. And now this isn't final painted yet. I'm actually working on getting ready to finalize this maybe this weekend. But this is his knee armor, and this is primered, and it's been sanded with 1500 grit. So I don't know if you can see that shine on there, but no more print lines. And you can see that shine on there. So this is going to be really pretty. I actually probably got this one too shiny, and I need to rough it up. Yeah, it's the Ender 3 Max Neo, which is pretty cool because that's your name, Max, right? But then after that, like here's, number one, my Mando helmet's like right there, right over my head right now, and it's finished, and it looks just like this. This is one of my shoulder bells, so you guys can see the reflectivity in my shoulder bells. This is a finished product. This is what the Mando armor looks like, and this is 3D printed. You can see it's plastic on this side, but when I rotate it to the actual side that you can see how reflective that is. I mean, that's pretty wild. Yep, the Ender 3 Max Neo. And then this is the right shoulder bell, which this one has, the signet on it, which is pretty awesome. So, and I've showed some of these on MegTooth Monday or MegTooth Tuesday lives before, but I kind of wanted to show y'all because I'm getting pretty serious about this whole Mando deal. So that's the thing, Jesse. It's not paint. So I primered them, and then I used a graphite process on these, a graphite and clear coat, and then graphite and a lot of washing in between, and wet sanding with 1500 grit on the clear coat. And it's a lot of work. So I didn't use the Lumina luster, which is what they wanted. I did use the graphite method. So, hey, Solo Sabers, great to see you. I don't know if Jeremy, I don't know if you've seen these. I don't know if you were on when I was showing them, but there's my shoulder bills for my Mando. Oh yeah, well, a lot of people don't do graphite right, Jesse. On the way I did my graphite, it doesn't leave fingerprints. It doesn't leave fingerprints. Now, you do still have to recoat it, after a troop or whatever, but it's a clear coat over the first layer of graphite, and then graphite on top of the clear coat after the clear coat's wet sanded, and then you wash it off, and you don't leave fingerprints. Like if you just do a normal graphite finish, you're going to leave fingerprints on it, but on the way I did mine, it doesn't leave fingerprints, which is awesome. So that is yeah, I know, those really came out awesome. So some other stuff that I've been printing on my 3D printer, like simple binders for my TK. So I printed these binders and I used them on a troop. Hopefully I'm going to show you all some pictures of the troop. But yeah, the Kyberphonics, I found another Mando in the 501st, and he said, screw that Lumiluster and the 4K. Dude, that paint in itself would have made that costume so ridiculously expensive. I'm like, dude, I can't afford that paint. You're talking about to paint all the armor pieces with the clear coat and the Lumiluster that they were suggesting. You were talking about a $3,000 or $4,000 paint job on the armor, and I was like, I can't afford that. And the graphite and the 2K clear that I used on these was a lot cheaper. So it definitely worked out pretty good. But the method, I need to post his method on there. I thought I was going to send it to Jeremy, but I didn't. Another thing I wanted to show is if y'all haven't been watching Halowax, if you ever check Halowax basement builds, he's actually building a Stormtrooper right now. And I wanted to show these to Halowax. These are welding tools. This is meant for like auto body and welding auto body. And when I did my Stormtrooper, when you're doing your cover strips and you're doing your joints, this has the reach to get inside Halowax where you're putting your magnets. If you can find a set of these, now they're pricey, but this is great for gluing together your Stormtrooper armor. As you glue each seam, then you just put this over the seam and clamp it shut, and then that holds your seam until it dries. So these are the clamps that I use building my TK armor. Along with these, like you can get clamps like these at the Home Depot and Lowe's, and these are good, clamps too, but they can't reach as far as the auto body clamps. But I just wanted to leave that message on there for Halowax, and I believe I got these at Lowe's, but it's the same thing. It's ratcheting clamps. Those are awesome. So that is for Halowax. Now, I had another thing here I wanted to show Halowax. Halowax asked how you can get the super glue to hold on the armor. And the trick is that you got to use an accelerator like this to get the super glue to set. And I use this on my, on my 3D printed armor too. So this is key, is using an accelerator along with the CA glue to get that, stuff to set. One more thing before I start getting into the slideshow. I did some weathering on my E11. So I don't know if you can see it, but the details should be a little bit more clear because it's got some worn edges here and stuff. It should be just a little bit more clear. I'm still working on this. So the weathering is a work in progress on my E11, but this is the one that's installed with a Profi board. And, you guys have seen this already on my videos, but that's my blaster, and you can see the OLED still working and everything. So this blaster is still as awesome as it ever was. But I am weathering it, so it actually looks more like metal. That's the only bad part about the 3D prints is, sometimes they can look plasticky. But I painted this with flat black, and I'm using silver. I'm using a dry brush method to get the wear and tear on the edges where I want it. And some of that I need to subdue, and some of it I need to increase. But weathering is key on these props to make them look a little bit more real because they look so plastic, if you don't do nothing to them. But I'm going to set this aside. Now, for those of you that follow me on Facebook or, you've seen me on Facebook, the reason I was off the air for a couple of weeks there is we went to Hawaii. So some of y'all may not know this, but I was actually born in Hawaii in the year 1971. With the Vietnam War was going on, and my mother and father were actually stationed in Hawaii. My father was stationed at Wheeler Air Force Base. Well, basically my mom, because my dad was back and forth to Vietnam. How many pieces did the armor come in? What glue? It came in a gazillion pieces for the Stormtrooper armor, Max. Man, I don't even know. It took me about a month and a half to build all that armor. It was a lot of work. It's crazy. And I used just normal CA super glue with accelerator to put it together. But at any rate, my dad was back and forth to Vietnam, and my mom was stationed at Wheeler. And my mom loved Hawaii. My parents lived there for, I don't know, 10, 12 years, something like that. And on Oahu. And I was born there, and my brother was born there too. And pretty recently, my father's getting older. He's 81 years old. And hey, Chet Osborne, great to see you. Hey, Mundo. And my father's getting older, and he thought it was important to take the family to Hawaii. I mean, I don't have enough money to go to Hawaii. That's crazy. I couldn't afford that. And we actually stayed at a military resort on Oahu. And we didn't go there to be tourists. We didn't go there to go to all the tourist trappy stuff. We went there to go see things that were important to my mom and dad. And we went and saw some places. So I want to share some stuff with you really quick. So I'm going to go to screen share. So y'all bear with me. I'm going to go to share screen, and I'm going to go ahead and share my entire screen. Hopefully nothing, crazy is gonna, pop up. But and I'm gonna get down here to the slideshow. Y'all bear with me. All right. So my mom was a painter, and this was one of my mom's paintings. My mom painted this in 1971, and it was a waterfall. My dad thought it was Waimea Falls, and I was looking at the pictures, and I'm like, no way. And actually found the waterfall this was later, and I'm going to show it to you guys later. But we actually hiked to this waterfall that my mom painted. This painting is actually in my dining room. And by the way, my mom died in 2005, so all I have left are her paintings and memories and things that she told us and stories that she told us. There's me and Jen and Ella on the plane on the way to Hawaii. And then there's the Halikoa Resort, the military resort we stayed at. The ocean's actually over here. We were up really high, which then makes Jen nervous because she's afraid of heights. This is the first night we were there. That's me and my brother, at the pool at the Halikoa Resort, having a beer, like, welcome to Hawaii. We were really tired, been on planes all day. We flew from Wilmington to Atlanta to Phoenix to Honolulu. So it was a crazy flight. There's my brother and his fiance in the Pacific Ocean for their first time in a long time. And me touching the Pacific Ocean for the first time, since I was a young kid, 3 years old, 4 years old, and 3 years old, I think. There's me and my brother and his fiance at Diamond Head. And there's me and my dad and my brother. You can tell my dad has the resemblance of me. And this was sunset on our first night in Oahu. And there's, Diamond Head at sunrise. And Jen and Ella. Jen and Ella fell asleep tonight. We got there. They were whooped. But this is the next morning, and that's, Diamond Head and sun rising in the background at Diamond Head. Every morning, Jen and me and Ella, we'd walk down to the store and get us a cup of coffee. So here's my here's my actual passport where you can see I was born in Hawaii, USA, which that's real rare. That's crazy. So yeah, going back to my roots, this is Jen and Ella. We went to a luau. We did kind of some touristy stuff, but this was a luau at the Halikoa Resort. This is me and my dad and my brother. This is Triple Army Hospital where me and my brother were both born, which that was pretty cool to see that. A Triple Army Hospital in Honolulu. If you ever go to Pearl Harbor and look up in the mountains, you'll see this hospital. That's where I was born. And this is actually Pearl Harbor. This is at the USS Arizona Memorial. That's my dad at the Arizona Memorial. And there's some oil that's, still leaking up from the Arizona years later. This is sunset in Waikiki and fireworks at the Hilton and, Diamond Head. This is on our hike to go see Waimea Falls. The plants were incredible, in Waimea Falls. This is Waimea Valley, me and Jen and Ella at Waimea Valley. Me and Jen and Ella getting closer to the falls. And this is Waimea Falls. And there's my dad and his new girlfriend at Waimea Falls, Sue. And, some weird plants that are in Hawaii. That's a Halikoa Resort again, where we stayed. This is the princesses and a homeless dude. A lot of homeless people in Oahu. I could talk about that for a long time, but this was the princess's palace in Oahu. There was actually, royalty in Oahu until basically it became an American territory. Now, this is what a funny part of the trip. My brother's life might have began at this place. This is Polly Lookout. And, this is looking down at some of my mom's favorite places in the world. You can see Rabbit Island. And you can see basically Bellows Beach, which some of this area is my mom's favorite place in the world. But Polly Lookout was one of my mom's favorite places, so it was pretty cool going there. That's my brother and his fiance. It's interesting. My brother, comes up here, and his life might have began right here, which is kind of funny. We won't go into that too much further. This is Bellows Beach. This is my mom's favorite beach on the planet, and it's hard to find. And you can only get to where we're at here if you're in the military, and it's pretty cool. Places, me and my brother at Bellows Beach, my mom's favorite beach in the whole world. And there we are there at Bellows Beach. This is a blowhole on the way back from Bellows Beach. A lot of volcanic scenery on the way back. Okay, so at the very beginning, I showed you all a painting of my mom's. And it was this falls, and this is Manoa Falls. And this is just above Honolulu, and it's a mountain hike, and it wasn't easy, loose gravel, pretty crazy. But we hiked up to Manoa Falls. Looks like it looks like Jurassic Park up there. And I think Jurassic Park's filmed in this area anyway, but, it was a crazy area. And back at Diamond Head, every morning we went and got coffee. So a lot of pictures of us at Diamond Head, me, Jen, and Ella. And then the plane ride home. Me, Jen, and Ella out paddleboarding and, seeing sea turtles. There's a picture when I was a baby on this beach. I can't remember the name of this beach, but there's a picture of me as a baby on this beach. And I was trying to recreate the picture. And, eventually I'll do a juxtapose with this picture and the picture of me as a baby sitting right here on this very same beach. And back to my mom's painting. And then you can see there's a picture of me sitting on the wall there in front of Manoa Falls. So, I definitely wanted to show you guys that. But that's me and Jen and Ella at the Manoa Falls Trail head. And then a better picture of me and my dad, my brother at Triple Army Hospital. Me and Jen and Ella at Manoa Falls. And just me there. Oop. And then there was a pineapple. We went to the Dole Pineapple Ranch too. And then there's me, Jen and Ella at basically at Bellows Beach. This is Waimanaloa, which is right near where Magnum PI is, where, I don't know if y'all ever watched Magnum PI. Magnum PI was filmed in Waimanaloa, and actually President Obama kind of bought some of that property where Robin's Nest used to be. So we're about, I don't know, a half mile, Robin's Nest about a half mile to our back in this picture. So we're really close to Robin's Nest. There's a lot of homeless camps out there. This is me and my dad and my brother in the apartment we used to live in at Wheeler Air Force Base. This apartment right back here over my brother's left shoulder is the apartment that we lived in at Wheeler Air Force Base on Lilienthal Lane. It's not even Air Force Base anymore. It's an Army Air Station. And there's me and Jen at the Dole Plantation, and me and Jen on the Manoa Falls hike. Me and Jen at the resort, some crazy trees, and then, back to my mom's painting. So that is that. I'm going to go back to the chat and see what y'all are doing here really quick, because I know this is kind of crazy, but I wanted to see where y'all were at. A little bit of show and tell. A little bit of show and tell there. So I just kind of went, hey, Chet Osborne, it's great to see you on there. Cheeto's born. That's funny, man. That's Chet. Oh, yeah, the Arizona was awesome. Yeah, Vietnam was horrible. And, I'm glad my dad lived through it, but Vietnam's still killing my dad to this day, with Agent Orange. Magnum PI. So we came home and started watching reruns of Magnum PI just because we're like, holy moly, look at this. But listen, I got some more stuff to show you really quick. So I'm going to go into another one, and I want to show you guys some of this stuff about how I lit up my 3D printer. This is the bottom of my 3D printer, and you can see the NeoPixel strips here on the bottom that I put. This on the bed. This preliminary wiring, was all crazy. And then
something else cool that I just hooked up here.
Here it is, like lit up. Bam. This is before I put the lights on the print head. So you got the lights underneath the bed, and then the cob pixels up overhead, blah, blah, blah. Now, initially I used a different buck puck that was only a 2-amp buck puck, and I ended up melting a bunch of them. And I was like, what the hell are these melting for? Because I forgot how much amps were drawn. So I got this buck puck from Amazon. This is a 15-amp buck puck that converts the 24-volt power supply on my Ender 3 Max Neo to 5 volts at 15 amps, so I can drive the NeoPixels. And I actually put this inside the Ender printer, and I actually added a fan for it too. So, I did a bunch of stuff. I'll show you. So here's the guts. Like here's inside my printer. This is the fan before I added it to the shroud. I actually added this fan to the outer shroud, but this is how it's all wired. You can see the wires coming out of the power supply going into the input, and you can see the fans going, because the fan's a 24-volt fan, so it's going into the same inputs. Those wires are actually soldered together. And then you have my outputs, my 5-volt outputs that go to my NeoPixel driver, which is pretty cool. So here's my NeoPixel driver, and it receives my 5-volt output right here. It's supposed to have a 2.1 millimeter plug, but I just wired it direct. I tore this thing apart and just soldered it in direct. And then, it has NeoPixel cords, and I actually got a 2-to-1 inverter. So basically I have 3 NeoPixel strips running on this thing. I have one in the top of the Z-axis, and I have one in the on the bottom of the print bed, and I have one on the printer head. And then, here's all my wire routing, so you can see how all that went. But anyway, that's that. So without further ado, I'm going to get back to you guys here. I'm going to get back to you. Oh, yeah, 3D Nerd Turd Machine. That's what Jen calls it, which I'm getting ready to show you guys something cool. Let me get the 3D Nerd Turd Machine going here. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you guys can see this mess over here. Look at there. Isn't that crazy? So, you can see the NeoPixels underneath the bed, which that helps because these wheels, you can actually see the wheels. So you can make the bed move up and down when you're doing those fine-tuned adjustments. Because I level my bed manually, and then I run the auto leveling on it. It has a PR touch on it. And then after I do the auto leveling, as that first layer is going down, I'm actually fine-tuning the bed. Like if I see a loose layer, I'm raising the bed there. And if I see a layer that's too tight, I might drop the bed a little bit there. So I'm making sure the bed is perfectly level all the way around. Because the key thing on 3D printing is you got to get your initial layer right. If you get your initial layer right, the rest of it's going to follow. And but at any rate, I did lights on my print head, so you can actually see what's going down on the print head. I've got my NeoPixels up here in the top. You can see them doing a flame blade up there, and then I got my NeoPixels on the bottom. Now, of course, they do they'll do solid colors, like there's solid red, there's solid green, blue, white. And then, it does rainbows. Pretty much anything a propy can do, this thing's doing. And then there you see it doing rainbows. So, it's pretty cool, pretty awesome piece of equipment right there. This is one of the first days that I really haven't been printing anything. And what I'm getting ready to do is, I had pegboard back holding my tools up. And I'm getting ready to convert that whole pegboard area. I'm going to do a honeycomb storage wall, HSW, I think, from Printables there. And I'm going to clean all that up and make it a little bit more functional for my purposes. I just think that's going to be awesome. So I'm going to do the honeycomb wall there. I'm pretty excited about the honeycomb wall. Trying to fix all my lights here because the 3D printer remote kind of affects all this stuff adversely. But yeah, my 3D nerd turd machine. Lastly, I did a print. So at Jen's school, Jen works at a school where there's disadvantaged youth, and they had a big parent-teacher student association fundraiser, and I turned it into a 501st Legion troop, but nobody showed up but me. But I was going to show you some of the pictures from that troop, which are kind of funny. So I'm going to go back to screen share again. So we can go to present, share the screen. We're going to go share the whole screen. Yeah, share. All right, here we go. We're going to share the whole screen. We're going to go look at the trooping photos from Alderman Elementary School. That's a picture of me scuba diving. I did those from my trading cards. This is at Alderman Elementary School. You see the binders in use for the pictures there. And, it was their Halloween thing. But I couldn't carry my blaster, because it's a school. You can't bring a blaster to school. But that little kid was dressed up like a stormtrooper. I don't know why it blasted through all those pictures. But this one little kid was dressed up like a stormtrooper. That guy's an attorney. I taught him at police academy. And there's a little kid dressed up like a stormtrooper. So that's a pretty cool picture. I feel like a little kid when I'm dressed up like a stormtrooper. I always wanted to be a stormtrooper. There's the SRO from Jen's school. Jen loves him, and he loves the school. And then, there's me posing with some of the adults and some of the kids at the school. And it was just a really cool experience for all the kids. They actually had a costume contest, and, we had a lot of fun. And that was that. And, just some pictures of my costume. So that's that. Just one of my cosplays. Of course, I have Kylo Ren. I'm working on Din Djarin. And, the good news is, let me stop sharing the screen so I'm getting back to you guys. Can I 3D print you a 24 millimeter crystal chamber? I haven't designed one yet, Max. But, I had a lot of fun. And, the cool thing about 3D printing, and I got to thank, Solo Sabers, Benji, Mountain Sabers, and everyone else that got me into 3D printing. I was in this rut. I was in this doldrum, and I just wasn't excited anymore about Star Wars. It got to where like lightsabers and the Mycom production and everything else I was doing, it kind of turned my favorite thing, my passion, into this chore that, I kind of lost some of my passion. And the 3D printer, the 3D nerd turd machine, as Jennaru called it, she said, I'm married. She goes, I'm married to a 3D printer. And I'm like, yes, you are. But I am excited about it. It's like reinvigorated my passion for Star Wars, for costuming. And, the funny thing is I was already neck deep in Mando, so I'm going to finish Mando. I'd already sewed the undersuit. I've already printed most of the armor, and I've done the finishing on the armor. I put a lot of work into it, so I'm definitely going to finish the Book of Boba Fett Mandalorian, and I'm going to get, it certified in the 501st. And maybe the Mando Mercs too. I don't know. But the bottom line is that since I did that Shore Trooper helmet, let's bring that back into the picture. Since I printed this Shore Trooper helmet, and I did all the painting and finishing on that myself too, and the weathering, and by the way, I fiberglassed the inside of it too. I did a bunch of stuff for this. I mean, this is a nice helmet. Dude, I could probably sell this for, I don't know, $600 on the internet, once I get it finished off. But I'm not. This is mine. I love this thing. It's an awesome helmet. I did great weathering. It's going to have the cool shield on it. And, the cool part is, Cole, yeah, when you get home, you got a present when you get home. I know it's like exciting. It's like every time you turn the printer on and you leave, you like got a present waiting for you when you get home. That's awesome. Except sometimes, those helmets take a while to print. Like I did Mando's blaster, and that took like 3 days to print, which it's up there. I'm not going to get it down. I haven't even finished it. I just printed his blaster solid so I can build a holster for it, because I'm actually sewing all the leather. So the belt and the bandolier, I'm sewing all that myself too. What I may do on a couple of these Megtooth Mondays, if I don't have any guests, I may bring y'all along for some sewing, and turn this more into a cosplay channel as opposed to just a lightsaber channel. For those of y'all that didn't realize it, if you didn't realize from looking at that Shore Trooper helmet, my first love was cosplay. That's what got me into all this. My Kylo Ren, that's the first Kylo helmet I refinished. This is a Black Series Kylo Ren helmet. It's not anymore. The original Black Series had that stupid battery pack and, sound changer and everything in it. Mine doesn't. And, mine doesn't have lenses for the eyes. It has that material, which I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see that. That's not going to show up because it's just not going to, but there's actually material there. It's not plastic. And then I cut out all the cheek holes, and then I actually painted and weathered, this area here to make it look like it was burnt. And also I had to, weld the plastic halves together, and then a lot of Bondo and a lot of work, and then a lot of paint, So the bottom line is this was really my passion. Building the lightsabers was a result of this passion. And, when I sewed my costume and I finished my helmet, in the 501st Legion in the Sith Lord detachment, which is where, the Kylo builds all happen. I have tutorials in the Sith Lord detachment for building Kylo Ren TFA. And I have tutorials on the helmet builds. I have tutorials on the lightsaber builds and NeoPixels. And, for the 501st Legion, I'm one of the tutors for Kylo Ren TFA. And I did all my own sewing. I did all my own helmet finishing. It has nothing to do with lightsabers. Lightsabers were an aftermath. What happened was I spent so much time sewing my costume and finishing my helmets, because I actually did too. My trooping helmet's up there, actually. It's not here. This is a spare. It just sits around. But, I'd spent so much time on my Kylo Ren TFA costume that when I went out and bought my Black Series lightsaber, which, that was actually the Black Series lightsaber I bought, used to be. And I lit it up and it was pink. And I was like, what the hell is this? Pink lightsaber? Hey, Kyle, great to see you. Oh, yeah, still at it. Switching to Mondays next week, Kyle. So don't forget to check in on Mondays next week. It's going to be Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But, yeah, my first version of that was in-hilt LEDs. And even that was bright. And people in the Legion were like, oh, my God, that thing is bright. And I'm like, I know, it's awesome. And, then I went to NeoPixels and Teensy Saber. And some of y'all may have seen my initial Teensy Saber video, which that's that lightsaber, folks. It's still running Teensy Saber. It's on OS 6. It's awesome. And it's still running. And I installed that lightsaber in 2017, and I've trooped with it a gazillion times. It's still running. It runs up on the wall and all my vids with me. I mean, if you don't think I can produce quality material, right there is proof. But the fact of the matter is the lightsaber was just a piece of it. The costume was the big deal. The lightsaber is just an accent piece. And that's what got me into building lightsabers was costuming. But, lightsabers got to be so overwhelming, and I spent so much of my time on lightsabers that I forgot about my true initial passion that started all this, which was costuming. And when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a stormtrooper. I just wanted stormtrooper armor, and I actually traded an MPP Darth Vader's lightsaber for stormtrooper armor. Yeah, I know, that's what happened, Cole. It's crazy. And it wasn't until this year that I built my stormtrooper armor. It's been back in boxes behind me. The funny thing is Jen kind of helped initiate some of this too, because Jen's office is on this side of the room, and my boxes were taking up like half her closet with the stormtrooper armor. And Jen's like, man, I really need some more room in that closet. And I'm like, well, if I just built this armor, we could get you the room. And so I just whipped out the armor and took it downstairs and started building it. And a couple months later, I had stormtrooper armor, and I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome. And then after I built the stormtrooper armor, then I got the 3D printer, and I've gone off the deep end. There's so much stuff I've 3D printed. I've 3D printed lithophane boxes, the lithophane moon, lithophane Death Star lamp. I've got lightsaber stands, Star Wars insignias, my all my helmet hangers. I 3D printed all my helmet hangers that you see the helmets hanging on. Those are 3D printed by me. The my blaster, my E11 blaster, and all these bins that I keep a lot of my lightsaber parts in over here that you guys can't see. That's all 3D printed. I'm getting ready to 3D print the organization wall that I'm going to hang all this stuff in. So the 3D printer is like gone nuts. I have gone full circle on that, which is, pretty awesome. Next, I want to talk about this. So I put up a video. Oh yeah, man, that Ender's getting a workout. That's for sure, Jeremy. And, I've only printed a couple chassis on it, which is funny, which was Jeremy's chassis that I just sold, that lightsaber that chassis was in. In fact, I wanted to put on this in case Sarmiento comes on or watches this video in replay. Sarmiento, I got the 21700, so I'll be shipping that to you in the mail. You should have that soon. Sarmiento got the saber. So Smooth Jazz Family, who used to be one of our big watchers, he actually bought that lightsaber, and it sold quick. It never went public. And, that's an awesome lightsaber. Y'all know that KROR saber was really awesome. And I have one for my Kylo Ren when I troop as Kylo Ren that actually Cole bought me, which is pretty awesome. I put some blades up for sale, and I put up a video about it. And I just want to talk about it really quick because I don't want my live videos to be a commercial. But since these are for sale, I want to let y'all know about them. Number one is I have just a normal KR pixel stick blade. Now this one is built with clear, it's clear blade stock with the white strip diffuser in it. This has the KR pixel stick in it. That blade is, I believe, 150. I have two thick-walled blades. One is trans white, one is clear with the strip diffuser in it. And these are heavy grade blades, heavy grade thick-walled blades, and these are built with pixels, and I believe those were 220. And then I have the first triple strip blade I ever built. These are built with with Civilized Sabers TriStar kits, and this one is trans white, and it's a triple strip blade. And I think I was letting that go for a little bit over 200. And I think it's 220 or 230. I can't remember. You have to check the ad. And then lastly, I have this blade, which this is a photonic green blade, but it's a triple strip photonic green blade. And you can see that it's triple strip right there. In fact, I'll take the tip off, and you can see that it's a triple strip blade right there. And, all these blades are for sale on currently on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook page, only for 7 days. And if they haven't sold after 7 days, which they haven't so far, then I'll put them public, and we'll begin negotiations on them. I just needed to get rid of some of this blade stock because I had too much blade stock laying around. The thing was like, as I was building Profi board and Teensy Saber lightsabers for people, because it was so complicated to program your blade, it was just easier for me to build their blade for them too. But now with OS 6 and all the work that Fernando's done in OS 6, I don't need to build their lightsaber blade for them. They can buy a blade from anywhere, and they can program it themselves. So, I don't build as many blades anymore because you can adjust it yourself. So that's a beautiful thing. But I got those blades for sale. If anybody's looking for those. Now, pretty much most of those, except for the KR Pixel Stick, most of those other blades are, hard to come by. There's only a couple of builders building blades like that. Of course, Civilized Sabers, Space Windows building those blades. I don't know about anybody else that's building them, but those are some rare blades. The triple strip photon blade is very unique and it's $300. It's expensive, yes. Worth it, yes. You have to realize what went into that triple strip. Both the triple strip blades is a lot of work, a lot of details went into them, and that's that. Don't want any other commercials here. So I'm trying to read the chat. It's been a crazy live stream so far. I've shown you 3D printing progress. I've shown you my sewing on the Mandalorian suit, the Shore Trooper helmet, some progress on Mandalorian armor, my binders, my weathering on my E11, and talked a little bit about my trip to Hawaii. Showed you the Alderman troop and showed you the lights on the 3D printer, which is awesome. I'll show that again. Y'all see that again. So like right now I got it on rainbow. You can see, I got lights under the print head too, so I can see what's going on the print head. Like I can do fire. It's got stars. My 3D nerd turd machine, and then that's like a meteor effect or something like that. And then of course it does all the colors. I can do white, just normal white, which is all RGB on. Then I can do like blue, green, red, yellow, pink, purple, which that's gonna, it's gonna blow out the screen. But fire is my favorite, which looks pretty badass on it. But there was a lot of work putting those NeoPixels on the 3D printer. I've actually put a lot of work into this 3D printer. You guys may not be able to see it, but I've also done a lot of modification work on that 3D printer too. I got chains and everything for it, which, all the wires are in chains, and, it's pretty awesome. It's like NeoPixels all over the room. It's crazy. But, yeah, the 3D printers got me off the deep end with this stuff, but I'm having a lot of fun. And, I wanted to make sure that y'all knew that I was going to change back to Mondays and actually might be doing some sewing stuff on the internet. I think when I go to do Mando's belt, I may bring y'all along for some of that. I'm going to be challenged, that's for sure. Building the holster and all those cases, and I'm actually ordering all the aluminum parts from JJ Industries to build the belt with. So, that's going to be my next big project, as I'm painting and sanding and smoothing, all these parts, because I got to paint these in that same chrome method that the shoulder bells are that I showed you and the helmet is. And I already have the chest abs. The chest abs and back armor are already done, and there. So the last two remaining pieces I have that are shiny are these two and my gauntlets, which I haven't printed the gauntlets yet because I want the right gauntlets so I can do the Mando pewter. I'm going to have the Mando computer. And hey, thanks. Oh, hey, K-Sith Saberfonts is on. Keenan, you and I need to talk. I want to have you on as a guest, and I want to have Kyberphonics on too, and Solo Sabers, and pretty much everybody that ever tunes in here. But K-Sith is kind of important to me. And for those of y'all that don't know, K-Sith is the man with with Saberfonts for the open source boards initially. I know that Keenan doesn't really run open source boards very much, and I think he likes the CFX. But the fact of the matter is Keenan really took a big risk. He took a big gamble, and he jumped in there and made some of the first commercial smooth swing fonts ever. He was like the waters testing guy, the crash test dummy, and I'll never forget that. I would love to have him on. I know we probably can't talk about everything that happened back then, but it would be pretty cool to talk about, the history of Keenan's involvement in the open source sound font world, because I still think that there's no way that Teensy Saber would have developed like it did and turned into the Profi board had it not been for K-Sith's involvement. That's how much of a role I think K-Sith played as much of a role in the explosion of open source soundboards as Frederick and Fernando. And I don't even know if he realizes that, but he did. So, make sure that I know everybody's got your favorite sound fonts, but make sure you support KSIF, and Kyberphonics, of course, and BK sound fonts, and Mountain Sabers and J DeLorean and all the cool font makers. But I certainly have a huge allegiance to KSIF, and I appreciate everything he did for us initially when he got into these fonts. But yeah, that's I don't know what else pretty much to talk about. I think we pretty much covered everything. It's like a lightning round of insanity. Welcome to Inside My Brain. And I was trying to rush through it, I guess, because I am on call tonight too, which I hope nobody called. So I'm on call for work. Yeah, I would love to have that Saber back to redo it, K-Sith, the funny thing is, cases we're sitting here talking about a lightsaber. So everybody knows that my beater saber, this is a Dark Force Custom Sabers Transcendence, and they actually came out with a V2 of this, and this is in blood soaked. And the whole reason I know about this hilt is because K-Sith had one, and he sent it to me to install, and his was like plain aluminum or whatever. And I installed a Teensy saber in it, and it's on my YouTube channel somewhere, like early on. But it was a Dark Force Transcendence for K-Sith. But I mean, it had a Teensy saber in it, and that's how Keenan was having to kind of listen to his own sound fonts. That's the only way he had to do that. And that saber, how I wired it's kind of outdated. I'd love to have that thing back, and modernize it with Profi someday. But that's something we can talk about, K-Sith, when I have you on. But I'm just excited to share with y'all the costuming part of it that's kind of reignited because of the 3D printer. And to me that was a big deal to get back into the costuming part of it. The 3D printer has definitely reignited my passion in costuming, and I'm so glad to be back, excited about Star Wars and all this stuff again, because I was kind of in a bad place there last year. Hey, also forgot to tell y'all, yesterday was me and Jennaru's anniversary. It was our second anniversary. And I don't even know if I've even told y'all the story of Jennaru, because sometimes I'll share a little bit of tidbits of personal information. So I will. Everybody probably knows by now I'm a police officer. I'm a 29-year captain at the Wilmington Police Department in Wilmington, North Carolina. Currently assigned to special operations, so I oversee our SWAT team, bomb squad, negotiators, our field force drug interdiction teams, housing units, traffic, crazy stuff. Oh, thank you very much, Port City Pro. Thank you very much for saying happy anniversary. But when I first got hired at the police department in 1995, I met Jennaru, and Jennaru was a cadet. And, Jennaru's house got wiped out in Hurricane Fran. And, I was always really fond of Jennaru. And Jennaru and I spent some time together after Hurricane Fran, and we're kind of dating. And my boss got wind that we were seeing each other and said, no fishing in the company pond. And kind of had to end it with Jen, and she never really knew why. And I really felt bad because I really was fond of her. I really loved her. I did not want to be apart from her, but at the time I was a young kid and I was just doing what my boss said. And then I got married, and that first marriage really didn't work out, and Jen's first marriage was kind of the same way. And we wound up back together. And I thank the Lord every day, because my life was not in a good place. And right before I started building lightsabers in 2017, I was in a really, really bad place in life, between the stresses and the trauma that we experience in my line of work, and going through that divorce. It was not good. I was not in a good place at all. And I don't know how I got through 2015 and 2016. And, it was one of the darkest times in my life. And right when I needed it the most, Jen popped back in. And even though we've only been married for 2 years, we've known each other for 30, and I'm so glad that she re-entered my life and I re-entered hers. And yesterday was our second wedding anniversary, and we had a nice date night last night. And life is really good right now, and I'm actually really close to retirement. I only have another year to go. I hate it for Jen when I retire, because when I don't have to go to work every day and I can sit here and make Star Wars stuff pretty much all day long. You think you're married to a 3D printer now? I might have a 3D print farm. I could fill up my garage with 3D printers, and that would be crazy. But yeah, it's been a huge couple of years here, and I feel real blessed to have the things going on that are going on. And I haven't really talked about the whole MyCom fiasco that I went through. Some of y'all may or may not know that I was a co-founder and basically the inventor of the MyCom sound device. And we parted ways last year, and I think they did another run or 2 runs after I left, and runs were filled with problems during the pandemic because you couldn't get the soundboards, and soundboards that they were getting were defective, which I was running into a lot of defective boards even early on in the pandemic when I parted ways with MyCom. So there is a chance, I'm not saying that I'm gonna do it, and I've talked to Kyberphonics, but there is a chance that I might be able, yes, to install a solar power cell to offset the electrical consumption. But there might be a chance that I might re-enter that realm. It's not going to be called MyCom. It could be called Cosmicon or CosCon or something like that. TrooperCon. I don't know. Oh, yeah, this is true. I will have to probably continue teaching Police Academy, to help make ends meet. So that's true. Tom's Comms. Yeah, I mean, I could do it. There was another guy from the lightsaber community that jumped in after I left that tried to build the rigs. And, I know who he is. And, he's been on open source groups and everything. And he's a decent enough guy. I don't have any personal animosity toward him. But, they weren't able to make it work without me. I don't think that's a surprise. I think that my contributions to the product were vastly underestimated by my former partner, and it is what it is. And I may take it up again. I don't know. I have a whole box here of stuff that I may start doing that again. So I'm actually looking forward to that possibility too. But I don't want anything to detract from the enjoyment that I'm finding right now and making the costumes and everything. But I'm having a lot of fun doing what we're doing. But I am so, I think this is the biggest viewership that we've had on a Tuesday yet. So I'm so excited that y'all were able to make it in. And I know it's getting kind of boring here, and I'll read everybody's comments when we sign off. But I don't want it to get boring. I know it was like a whirlwind at first, and for those of y'all that haven't seen it, go back and watch the beginning, because I showed a lot of crazy stuff at the beginning, and it was very rapid fire in succession. I hope all the pictures and the screen show and everything came out, because I don't know, I didn't even check and see if it was working, but hopefully it all worked. And I'm very thankful for all y'all to come in and join me again on the live video tonight, and look forward to MegTooth Monday Live on October 24th. Next week, we'll be going back to Mondays. So I want to say, just like Mundo just did there, or Mundo, hashtag nerd up. And, it's exciting. Y'all go out and do some cool Star Wars stuff. Either build some lightsabers, make some costumes, or, go out there and play Star Wars games, do whatever it is that you do to have fun. And, thank you all for joining in. Cole, Max, K-Sith, Kyberphonics, everybody that was on, Chet Osborne, Senzi was on. It's been great seeing you guys again. I'm so happy to see you guys, and hopefully we'll do some more, Saber Nerds, some more episodes of Saber Nerds, like with K-Sith and Kyberphonic and Solo Sabers. But yeah, thank y'all for joining in, and we'll see you guys next Monday. May the Force be with you, or the dark side, as it were.
thank you everybody for watching as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,